Crankbaits can help you target a variety of fish in a wide span of locations. Choosing the right bait for the job can prove difficult. Ray Gildow of the Nisswa Guides League and Mandy Urich, the bassing biologist, offer some advice in this week's fishing tips.
One of the great techniques for fishing in Minnesota is using crankbaits, but one of the real mysteries is what do you use? How do you determine the color, the size, the front of them for the bill? Look at this one. This is a small crankbait that I use for finding sunfish, working around the weeds. It's amazing. Sometimes you catch bass with these, and sometimes you even catch a northern, all the way to something like this, which is obviously not for sunfish. This is what I use for muskies, but it's also a crankbait with a different kind of a bill on it. And so there's a variety of different kinds out there, and just to have just some of my collection here, I can show it to you. All of these have different purposes on different lakes and for different conditions. And it takes a while to learn that, but to start out, you really don't need to be that complicated. Just get a few basic, simple kinds of crankbaits and start using them. And Mandy's going to tell you some tips on how to use them and where to use them.
As Ray said, there's all different shapes and sizes of crankbaits out there. And a simple rule of thumb, it can be daunting to know which one and where, is to look at the bills. Good rule of thumb to have is the longer the bill, the deeper it dives. There's also round bills and square tip bills. I personally like to use the square tip bill. It's really good around rocks and wood. The corners of this bait actually let it ding off the sides, and it's less likely to get hung up into that structure that you're fishing. There's also lipless baits that rattle, and personally, the more noise it makes, the more I like to use them.
One way of deciding what color to use is to look at the fish that are feeding on the prey in the particular lake. So if you're fishing a lake with a lot of shiners or crawdads, go into a shallow area and see if you can see what the fish look like for color and try to match that color with the crankbait that you buy. I'm Ray Gildow with the Nisswa Guides League.
And I'm Mandy Urich, the bass biologist.
If you've enjoyed this segment of Lakeland News, please consider making a tax-deductible contribution to Lakeland Public Television.